Well, hello, my friends. So in the previous lesson, we completed our design. So we'll do what we'll have to do for coding in this lesson. So I hope you're ready to get started. I'll open up the main activity.java class. Now, first we've got to define the components that we've made. And of course, we will define only the RecyclerView component in the main activity. We'll define the components that we use in the card design in the adapter class, and we're going to create that shortly. So for this, I'll write private RecyclerView, and I'm creating an object called RecyclerView. So now in the onCreate method, I have to match the RecyclerView with its ID. So for this, I'll write RecyclerView equals findViewById. I'll write r.id.RecyclerView in parentheses, because we gave this ID to the RecyclerView component in the design area. So also I'll need to determine how the data will appear on the screen. So I've got to determine whether the data will be displayed to the user in horizontal or vertical format. So for this, we can use the RecyclerView.setLayoutManager method. Then after writing new in parentheses and press the Control and Space button, we come across many different options. So if you use the Linear Layout Manager method, your data will be displayed to the user in a single column from top to bottom. And in this case, it will be sufficient to just write context in parentheses. Now, if you use the Grid Layout Manager method, your data will be sorted from top to bottom, but you'll also have the chance to specify the number of columns. So you can view your data in 2, 3, or more columns. And in this case, you've got to write the context and the number of columns in parentheses. And finally, if you use the staggered Grid Layout Manager method, you will be given a chance to display your data vertically or horizontally besides the number of columns. So in this case, we've got to specify the number of columns and the way the data is displayed in parentheses. All right, my friends, so those are the 3 different methods to display data on the screen. All right. Now, since we will display the data one underneath each other, we'll choose the Linear Layout Manager method. So that means we must write the context parameter in parentheses. So context represents the activity that we are in. That's why I'm writing here main activity.this. Okay. So we defined the RecyclerView component. Now we need to transfer the country flags, country names, and detail information that we will show on the screen into the arrays. So for this, I'll create 3 array lists. Let's create the first array list. I'll write private array list. I'll create tags by pressing the less than button on the keyboard, and I will create this array for country names, so the type of the array will be string. I'll set the name of the directory as country name list. I'll write equals after typing new. I'll select the array list option by pressing the Control and Space keys on the keyboard. Cool, so now let's create the second array list. I'll create the second array list for detail information. So the type of the array will be string again. I'll set the name of this array to be details list. Now let's create the third array list. I'll create the third array list for country flags, so we'll keep the images inside the array. And the images are kept as integers in Android Studio, so the type of the third array will be integer. I'll set the name of this array as image list. All right, so we defined array lists. Now let's add the necessary information to these array lists. First, I'll add the country names. So for this, I'll write the name of the array, that is the country name list, using the .add method. I'll write United Kingdom in parentheses as a string expression. So that's in double quotation marks. And that way, the first element of the array named country name list, the element with the 0th index, right, becomes United Kingdom. All right, so now let's add my second country name to the array. I'll write Germany in parentheses. And finally, we'll add the third country name to the country name list array. I'll write United States of America in parentheses. So now we created our first array. Let's add the elements of the details list array. So I'm writing details list dot add. I'll write a sentence like this. This is the United Kingdom flag in parentheses. Now I'll copy this line of code and paste it twice. I'm writing Germany here. So here I'm writing United States of America. All right. So now let's add the country flags. I'll just type in image list.add. As you can see, we must write an integer type expression inside the parentheses. And like I mentioned before, images are stored as integers, so we should write the position of the image that we will add in parentheses. So our images are in the project directory in the drawable folder within the resource folder. So in brackets, I'll write R, representing the resources folder, then .drawable, and finally the name of the flag in the drawable folder. And then similarly, I can add my other two flags to the image list array. I'll write r.drawable.germany, and then I can add the USA flag. All right, r.drawable.usa. Okay, so we've added all the necessary information to the arrays. So in fact, that's all we'll do in the main activity for now. So we can show these images on the screen. For this, we will need an adapter class. If you remember, we needed an adapter class to use ListView. So that means in the next tutorial, we will see the grid view component. And we will create an adapter there as well. All right? So let's just create the adapter class without wasting any more time. So first of all, I just create a new class. For this, I'll select the project package folder and right-click with my mouse, select New and Java class from the pop-up. And now we have to determine the name of the adapter class that we will create. So I'll define the name of the class as RecyclerAdapter. Create my adapter class by pressing the Enter button. And first we'll need to create 3 array lists in the adapter class, just like in the main activity. So for this, I can copy the arrays that we created in main activity, paste it into the adapter class. Now I'll create an object from the context class to use the properties of the activity in this class. So by using the context object, we'll be able to show the toast message on the screen by clicking any of the cards. And now we'll create a constructor for this class. So I'll right-click with a mouse. I'll choose Generate Constructor. I select all variables and click the OK button. So that creates for me the constructor. So we can now delete these sections. We won't add anything to the arrays here. But now we will create an inner class within this class. So this class that we will create will represent the car design, and we will define the components in the car design in this class. So I'm writing public class. I'll set the name of this class to be Country ViewHolder. Also, this class will be derived from the RecyclerView.ViewHolder class. But wait, what's this? Android Studio warns us because we need to create a constructor for this class. All right, so for this, I'll just click on the light bulb here on the left, choose Create Constructor, Matching Super option, and boom, just like that, the constructor is created. So now we can define here the image view and text view components that we use in the card view design. First of all, I will create two objects from the text view class. Now I'm creating an object from the image view class. Now we will match the components to their IDs in the constructor. So I'll write text view country name equals, but here we can't do a match directly using the find view by ID method like in the main activity. To be able to use the find view by ID method, we must first access the card design that we created. So we'll make a match just by using the item view object representing the card design. So here I'm writing item view.find view by ID. All right, r.id.textView country name in parentheses. And similarly, I'll match the text view details component with this ID. So I'm writing item view.find view by ID. I write r.id.textView details in parentheses, and that way we finish the process of defining the text view component. Now, similarly, I'll match the image view component with its ID. So I'm writing item view.find view by ID. I write r.id.imageView in parentheses, and that defines the components in card design. So now we'll derive the recycler adapter class we created from the RecyclerView.adapter class. So inside the tags, I'll write RecyclerAdapter.CountryViewHolder. And now, as you can see, Android Studio is warning us again because there are methods that we have to implement. So I'll just click on the light bulb again. Choose Implement Method. And there are 3 different methods that we have to implement. So we just want to add all 3 of these. They are indeed required, so now they are added. So I want to talk a little bit more about these methods. The first method is the onCreateViewHolder method. So as soon as the country ViewHolder class that we created below has been created, the method gets called. So in this method, we will define the card design that we've made. So it's thanks to this method that we determine which design will be displayed in the recycler view. The second method is the onBindViewHolder method. This method is also a method in which we will specify what should be done when the design is created and then connected to RecyclerView. So in other words, we will show the data on the screen in RecyclerView using this method. Now the third method, getItemCount. This is the method where we specify the amount of data to be displayed in RecyclerView. All right, so now let's finish the necessary options for the onCreateViewHolder method. So first of all, I'll create an object from the View class, and I will transfer the car design into that. So we use the layoutinflator.from method to link a design we created to a view. And now I have to write parent.getContext, and that's going to be in parentheses. Here, the parent object given as a parameter is the object of the view group, that is, main activity. Now you can write here the context object that we created or parent.getContext here. So I write .inflate outside parentheses. I will write 3 parameters in parentheses. The first is the car design that we made. I'll write r.layout.cardDesign. The second parameter is the parent object here. The third parameter will be false. Now finally, because this method will return an object from the CountryViewHolder class, I write return new CountryViewHolder. I'll write the view object in parentheses. Cool. So that finishes that method. Now, let's do what we need to do for the getItemCount method. So we've got 3 countries for this application, but we cannot know this number in more, well, when you make more complex applications. Such as when retrieving data from the internet or working with databases. That's what I'm talking about. So that's why we always write in here the size of the array that we created. So I write country name list.size. Now let's show the data on the screen. In the onBindViewHolder method, I'm going to transfer the data in the arrays to the components. So now let's write the country name in the text view country name. And of course, we won't be able to directly access the text view and image view components from here. That's why we've got to use the holder object here. So I'll write holder.textViewCountryName.setText method. I'll write country name list.get method in parentheses. Inside the parenthesis, I'll write the variable position given as a parameter. All right, and that way we print the country name in the text view component. So now let's show the detail information on the screen. So I'll write holder.textViewDetail.setText method. I'll write details list.get method in parentheses. Inside the parenthesis, I'll write the variable position given as a parameter. So finally, we can show the flags on the image view component. I'll write holder.imageView.setImageResource method. I'll write imageList.get. So that's in parentheses. Inside the parenthesis, I'll write the variable position given as a parameter. All right, so finally, we will need to do our necessary steps for the onBindViewHolder method. So for this, we'll need to send the ArrayList object that we created in the main activity to the adapter class. To do this, I will create an object from the RecyclerAdapter class in the main activity. I'll define the name of this object as adapter. We will now define the adapter class after the array list methods. So I'll write adapter equals new adapter class. So now I've got to write 4 parameters in parentheses because there are 4 parameters in the constructor that we created in the adapter class. So for this, I'll write country name list as the first parameter. I'll write details list as the second parameter. I'll write image list as the third parameter. And I have to write context as a last parameter. So for this, I can write main activity.this as the context. And then finally, I have to set the adapter object in the recycler view. So to do that, I'll write the RecyclerView.setAdapter method. I'll write adapter in parentheses, and that will transfer the data from here to the adapter class. All right, so let's run it and test the application. So the application opens, and yeah, so you can see the country flags, country name, and detail information have been created, yeah, quite successfully. But we do have one last step left. So here, whenever we click on each card view component, we should create a toast message that tells us which category that we clicked. All right. So why don't we just go ahead and do that now? We will create the process of showing the toast message in the recycler adapter class in the onBindViewHolder method. Because we have defined the card view component here, and we must do all of those operations concerning the card view component from here. So I'll make the necessary coding in the onBindViewHolder method. First of all, I'll need to define the card view component. And I do this in the CardViewHolder class. Now I will match the card view component with its ID in the constructor. Okay, so I think we haven't set the ID of the card view component, so let's set the ID. So I'll just type in card view. I'll open the adapter class again and match the card view component to its ID. All right, card view equals item view dot find view by ID. I write r.id.cardView in parentheses. Now let's add a click feature to the card view component. I'll write holder.cardView.setOnClickListener. I'll write new in parentheses, and after leaving a space, I'll select the view.onClickListener method just by pressing the Control and Space keys on the keyboard. Now, lambda is used instead of this method. So if you hover your mouse over the view.onClickListener method here, you will see a description text pops up, right? So from here, if you choose the Replace with Lambda option, you'll actually get a simpler look. Of course, there's really no difference between the two uses. It's just looks a little simpler and cleaner to me. Now, yeah. So now we can create our toast message. So first of all, we will determine which card view component was clicked. How do you do that? Well, just use the position parameter here. I'll also create an if-else statement. So if the position parameter is 0, That is, the first card view component is clicked, we can create a toast message. If we choose the Create a New Toast method, after typing toast, it will automatically generate the toast message. So we need one context object to create the toast message, and that's why we created an object from the context class at the very beginning of the adapter class. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to create the toast message, right? All right, so now let's write our message. And now let's create our other situations similarly. If the position parameter is 1, that is, the second card view component is clicked, then we can create a new toast message. If the position parameter is 2, that is, the third card view component gets clicked, we can create a new toast message. All right, so now let's run the application to test it. Application opens. I'll just click on the first card view component. Hey, there you go. Perfect. So we've created the toast message very successfully. So sure enough, my friends, this is how the RecyclerView component is made and how useful it is. I know perhaps you might be a little confused, but in general, these actions that we do are fixed and they don't really change much. So let me just summarize what we've done here, right? So first of all, you need to add one RecyclerView component to the main activity.xml design. Then you have to create one card design that you will show on the screen. You must also create an adapter class that connects the design and the RecyclerView component. And finally, you must define your adapter to the RecyclerView in the main activity. All right, that's it. It's pretty easy. All right, so why don't we take a short break here, and I'll see you in the next lesson.